So it is my great pleasure and delight to introduce you to a wonderful friend of mine, Donna Riley, who is a movement mentor. But more than movement mentor, she's actually the Miracles Through Movement mentor, which is slightly different, right? Could you please tell us what actually do you do?
Yeah, so I bring miracles to people. I help them bring miracles to themselves. And how do I do that? I work with conscious movement and mindfulness, and basically bringing people back fully into their bodies and moving in a way that promotes healing and well-being and an uplifted attitude, and really having a deep reverence and awe for how miraculous this amazing body is.
Amazing. And we talked yesterday very briefly because you're going to be my wonderful guest speaker. I was going to say guest speaker on the 22nd, the year I would love to have event, but you're not going to be a guest speaker. You're going to be the guest mover.
Yes.
And you're going to make us move and help us bring miracles into our lives through movement. Yes.
Yes.
And so for those of you who are coming, I'm so much looking forward to your session, but also for those people who won't be able to join us, my love, what I would love to ask you is, why do you think movement is so necessary, so important when it comes to manifesting our intentions and having the kind of life we want?
Yeah. I always think back to the very first thing that happens. Oh goodness, Luda, don't bark. The very first thing that happens, I'm so sorry.
She's agreeing with you. She's agreeing with you.
So I think about when a baby is born.
Yes.
I look at this baby and are just in awe of the miracle. And what is this baby doing as soon as they're out of the female, right? It's like moving and stretching and And so my point is that when we sort of set an intention, it's very easy for it, I think, to stay in our mind. And it's wonderful to stay connected to visualizing and focusing. But when we bring that into the body and move that through the space, the physical space that we're in, right? It's taking that from a thought or from the ethers into the action of actually creating it, right? So it's like, the body really is an expression of our lives, and the shapes that we hold it in, the way that we move, really can determine a huge outcome about our entire life. I think about a basic thing like posture. If you're kind of rounded over and slouched like this, it's really difficult to create some amazing things in your life, because this physical state equates to sadness or depression emotionally, right? So it's like, to keep our vibration high, to keep our bodies physically open to receiving, all that being in action to actually have things happening, all that relates into creating our dreams.
Yeah, that's amazing. And darling, can you tell us, how did you get into that movement? What actually movement did for you?
I loved dance when I was a little girl, and it became, I was telling you yesterday, I had a near-death experience at the age of 12, and I basically didn't want to be here anymore. And dance and movement was literally my lifeblood. It kept me here. It kept me in my body. It allowed me to express myself in ways that I couldn't necessarily express myself verbally. I didn't feel very safe in the world. So being able to move and be in my body was my safe haven. So I would go deep into there. I mean, if I felt any emotion, I would go and I would move it however it wanted to move. I would jump up and down and scream and yell if I was angry. I would lay on the floor for hours stretching, crying if I needed to do that. But that was my salvation, basically. So I'm very grateful that I believe that was my gift to bring to the world. It was very clear from a very young age that was, I remember screaming. I had 3 brothers and no sisters, and my dad took us to a baseball game, a professional game, which was not enjoyable to me. And after 5 or 6 innings, I just started complaining and complaining. I can't sit anymore. I can't sit anymore. The human body's not meant to sit. Why are we sitting for so long? And I just knew intuitively, like, we're not meant to sit, So anyway, I went deep into studying. I majored in dance in college, and I've been studying and studying and studying, not just movement, but movement's impact on our psychological state, emotional state, and energetic state as well. So yeah, I always knew that was my thing.
So yesterday when we chatted, you said that often when you watch people that they move like robots, it sort of makes you cry. Can you share with us some sort of stories of healing and release of trauma and subsequently some amazing changes in lives of some of your clients?
Oh, definitely, definitely. So I do movement sessions and programs, but I also do fascia release work as well. And with the fascia release work, you know, that's where you get the trauma releasing and the experiencing, the letting go. And I'll tell you one of my personal ones that actually happened to me. I've got many for clients as well, but through my own self practice of fascia release, I had a soul retrieval experience. And you know, I spent most of my life being angry for being on the planet, and I started to go deep like 3 years ago into how do I really fully, completely heal and accept being here on this planet and enjoy it. And so I started doing my self practice, and my intention was to really get clear, like how can I enjoy being here. And I had this whole soul retrieval experience where my little girl, 12-year-old girl, showed up and started flying to the light and going like this, and then going into my heart like this. And I'm like, what is she doing? And I realized, oh, she's retrieving the parts of myself that I left behind.
Wow.
And then I grew angel wings. She grew angel wings. We started, I physically got up and started dancing with her, and we were weaving like this together. We were going to the light. We were coming back to earth. We were going to the light, coming back to earth. And it was, I'm crying and crying and crying because it was so beautiful and amazing. And then all of a sudden, I felt her come into my body. And then I felt my energy, like an energy cord, connect directly to the light. And my whole, I just went, oh, this is what it feels like to fully be here. Oh, wow. And since then, I'm happy to be here. I'm fully embodied. It's just a huge drastic change from that one little, now granted, there were several things leading up. I've done a lot of healing work, but that's the power of what's held in the body. That's one example, you know. And then I've seen so many self-healing things, you know, I watch somebody move and I can tell you everything about them, you know, what their emotional state is, why their body is in pain. It's like, I know their thoughts are negative, so they're never going to improve. I look at the bigger picture and sort of what I say of mentoring, because my goal is to bring them back to themselves, right? Into the miraculous self-healing, beautifully exquisite organism that we are. You know, we've lost touch with that because we don't move anymore. We sit at computers. Oh. You know?
But darling, this is so true. And since the pandemic, we actually spend more time in front of the computers. I mean, yeah. I did a little bit spend more time in front of the computer, which I don't like. And movement and dance and walking and barefoot walking has saved my life, I have to say. Darling, how do you know the difference between someone who is embodied fully and someone who is disembodied?
Boy, that is a great question. I've been exploring that a lot recently, actually. Since I went through, I thought I was embodied my whole life because I was so physical. And it wasn't until somebody said to me, you're acting like you have PTSD, like you're acting like a trauma person. So how do I tell? One of the obvious ways is when they don't feel themselves. In other words, say they're doing a movement and I say, do you feel that? Do you feel your arm reaching out here? And they're like, oh no, I didn't know that. And I'm kind of going, you know, so that's one way where they literally don't physically, they don't have the self-awareness of their own physical body. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes it's like something as simple as they don't even realize they're hungry until they get lightheaded, right? And then they're like, oh, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And you might say, did you eat something recently? And they're like, oh no, you know, like that kind of stuff where they don't know if they're hot or cold. They're energetically, what I see is somebody, they look like they only live from here up, which is a very common thing these days. It like what I see energetically when I look at them is like there's literally nothing from the neck down. It's like empty space. So those are some ways. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, I think it's a very complex topic, you know.
And for someone who is embodied, who is absolutely in the body, you look at them and you go, There we go.
Exactly.
They're in here, they're with themselves and in themselves. How can you tell?
Well, one of my gifts is clairvoyance. So for me, I just see it very
Hmm.
clear to me very easily. Um, I don't know how to answer that because it's just, I just see it, it's just one of my gifts. Now, there's also, as far as another little way that people might not be in their bodies, is that they don't literally feel their feet on the ground. Like you talked about walking barefoot, right? So beneficial, so healing. There are some people that literally don't even feel their feet. They might trip a lot because they're just not even aware of their feet on the ground. They're not in contact with the ground, basically, because they're either in their head or they're up in the ethers, right? That's what I was doing, is leaving my body. Like I was leaving my body constantly because it's much cooler up there than this stuff here.
Yes, yes. That's interesting. And yesterday I was doing a live in Polish, and the topic was, what does soul think about us setting goals and setting goals for the year, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about flowing and movement and dancing and being in the body. So I guess that when we are setting goals and intentions and having those dreams, and we are here only, or even here, like
Yeah.
we're not embodied at all,
Right.
then the things that we are asking for may be not the best for us.
Mm.
And so, like the person who I was doing the interview with, honestly said herself that she set an intention the year before to lose weight, right?
Mm.
But the intention really first would be to come back to the body and to feel safe and to love
Yeah.
being in the body. And then the unnecessary weight would sort of drop off. So I think that it is extremely important to be in your body and to be with yourself and to be
Mhm.
connected with your heart and connected with your soul, to make sure that even the intention or the goals that you're setting are actually going to be good for you,
Yeah.
rather than setting from your ego. What would you say about that?
Oh my goodness, I 100% agree with you. And I work mostly with women. And what I find, and this was my story too, as a dancer, I was constantly told how fat I was. So I was obsessed about looking a certain way, right? I never thought about, do I feel good in my body? Do I like how I feel? Do I love myself? Never thought about any of that. It was all just, I got to look this way. I got to look this way. And so I 100% agree. It has to start from this level of being in your body, feeling safe in your body, practicing self-love and self-care as your primary goal. And then, like you said, with the weight loss, it will just naturally happen, because if you're practicing self-love, you're not binging on a bunch of crap because you love your body and you love yourself, right? So I 100% agree. And I personally believe we're in a serious epidemic right now of people that are disembodied. All this living in fear, all this like thinking that other people have control of what you can and cannot do. It's taking us completely into other realms. And I don't know, I find it a little bit unsettling, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do.
So yeah, so this is what you do, Donna, is more important than ever before. So that's why I've invited you to run this part in our session, the embodied goal setting and releasing the past and stepping into the best possible future that is in here, right?
Yeah,
But it
absolutely.
starts, if you're not there to receive it and create it, then maybe it's better not to set intentions even, right?
Yeah.
So, darling, that people will experience your genius and your amazing wisdom and the movement on this 22nd of January. But for those who will not be able to join us, can you please give us a little bit of download? What would you want us to do for the rest of the year? So for the 2022 to be the most embodied year ever, what would you like us to do?
Well, it's so fascinating. The timing of all this is, of course, quite divine. I'm about to start a Facebook group called Be Alive in 5. I'm going to go live for 5 minutes every day and dance. And I would love for everybody to join me, because I believe that when we can dance, and when I say dance, I'm not talking a technique. I'm talking just put on music and act like a fool, right? And so I would encourage to have a fabulous year every day, dance or jump up and down, to music, because music is powerful, as we know. Uplifting music, because that's obviously energetically we want to have uplifting music, and just dance 5 minutes a day. That's all you need to do to like radically shift everything. And it's so simple and fun.
Yes, it's so true. You know, yesterday I had a session with someone, and just went to make myself a cup of tea. And when I came back, I heard this amazing, beautiful, uplifting music. And I was a little bit taken aback because we were supposed to do a session, and she was like moving, and she said, "I'm shifting my vibe. I want to be in a good state." And indeed, we had a phenomenal session because she started in a correct, embodied way. So.
Yeah.
So we're wishing you, the most embodied, most free bodies for the next 12 months and beyond. And Donna, please repeat the name of this Facebook group so people can find you and join you.
Sure. The Facebook group is Be Alive in 5. And I also have a freebie product to get you started on increasing your mobility. This community is specifically for women. Just so you know. And then if you want to get a hold of me, it's contactdonna.me.
Fantastic. Beautiful. So I will see you on the 22nd of January.
Looking forward to it.
To create miracles through movement. But for now, beautiful people, thank you so much for watching this. Please share this video with others so we all can be fully here and shine brightly and do what we came to do. But while having fun, and feeling the delight which you're now feeling, right? Because before you actually moved, but you didn't feel the joy, right?
Right, exactly.
So now it's not all about just moving, but actually moving so you can feel the joy and enjoy every single day of your life as much as possible. And if you have trauma, if you have challenge, if you have difficulties, which obviously happen to everyone at some point, then you know how to release it and let it go through movement. So thank you very much, and I see you soon. Lots of love.